TigerNet Talk is on the air, a one-hour talk show giving Tiger fans a power hour of Tiger sports talk. Each and every evening here, I should say each and every Sunday evening here on the front page of the TigerNet, also available for you on Spreecast. And this program is brought to you by all of our sponsors and Amtrak. Thank you so much for being here with us, Tiger fans, as we kick off another great year of Clemson sports talk for you here on TigerNet Talk. That's right, this show will be Sunday nights at 9 p.m., and I definitely hope you'll join us each and every week as we talk about your Clemson Tigers. It'll be 52 minutes and 50 seconds of goodness. But here's the deal. We want to involve you more this year. So throughout the season, the number will be given, whether it's on TigerNet or on Twitter, 803-450-0086. And we want you to be a part of this program. That's right. We've got our daily show from 6 to 8 p.m. on Sports Radio 560 The Team. And this program, we want to take it to you to find out your predictions, your thoughts on last week's ball games, and much more. So I hope you'll continue to participate with us in that regard. We've got a great show lined up for you, though, and really looking forward to spending that time with you each and every Sunday evening. Thank you so much. Hashtag CST560 on Twitter, and we are at Clemson Sports, and the chat room is rolling along over on Spreecast. So I hope you'll join them as well. Stay with us, Tiger fans. A whole lot more TigerNet Talk coming up right around the corner after these words from our sponsors.
Want to hear the sound of hassle-free traveling?
All aboard!
Amtrak takes the hassle out of traveling to over 500 destinations. You can stretch out in a spacious seat, relax in a sleeping car, and enjoy a hot meal in the dining car. And for those who want to kick back and take in the scenery, go right ahead. For everything you get on Amtrak, the one thing you won't get is this. So whether you're going to a family reunion or an away game, make it a whole lot nicer on Amtrak. Book your trip today at Amtrak.com or call 1-800-USA-RAIL.
All aboard!
A winning team requires having great team members. If you are a landowner interested in selling timber or in buying or selling land, call the winning team of Cross Creek Timber and Cross Creek Realty, LLC today. Put the knowledge and skills of professional licensed foresters and realtors to work for your team. To learn more about services offered by Cross Creek Timber and Cross Creek Realty, LLC, visit crosscreektimber.com and easily follow the link to real estate or reach them by phone at 864-517-3620 or 864-517-3621.
Hi, I'm Alicia Kaufman-Quinton. My daddy, Billy Kaufman, opened Kaufman's Meat Plant at our present location in 1955. My family still works hard every day to ensure fresh quality cuts of beef, pork, and poultry. How about a tasty T-bone, ribeye, or New York strip steak? To order at Kaufman's Meat Place. Just look for the signs near the intersection of US 1 and I-20 in Lexington. Call us at 356-0076 to place your order. Kaufman's Meat and Place, when you want the very best your money can buy.
Before going on vacation, you need to know what to pack. Preparing for your financial future is similar. Without proper planning, you could very well be left out in the cold. Raymond James financial advisor and certified financial planner Chris Benson can offer you a variety of investment solutions designed for your specific needs. For more information, call Chris at 864-681-1560, located in downtown Lawrence. Raymond James Financial Services, member of FINRA and SIPC. Life well planned.
Mettenberger under pressure, and they got him. Malachi Goodman and Grady Jarrett. And Goodman having the game of his life as Clemson has come up with sack number 6. Third and 11. Pressure coming. Ford makes the catch. Hats off to Taj Boyd. Boyd. Touchdown. DeAndre Hopkins on a bullet. A two-point conversion would tie it.
This Clemson defense looking for their 8th 3-and-out in the game.
Mettenberger has hit only 5 of his last 13 throws, and he wants to throw again. Has it batted down. Holy cow, Malachi Goodman. 4th and 16. Here comes the pressure on the blitz. Down the middle for Hopkins. He makes the catch for 40. slant inside the 20 to the 17-yard line. Now, Clemson has the upper hand.
Oh, yeah, here it comes. I just had to reminisce. We've heard so much about this game. I think it was definitely worth listening to one more time.
Zorro for the win.
And that's the way it was, ladies and gentlemen. The final play of the 2012 season. And we are less than 1 week away from the first play of the 2013 season. And it will go down against a top 5 ranked Georgia Bulldog team in Death Valley under the lights. And that's a good thing. And I know we stress throughout the summer, and fortunately for me, my brand new show, Clemson Sports Talk, that's on Sports Radio 560, The Team, didn't kick off until July the 15th. I didn't have to go through the entire grind of the summer or the entire off-season leading up to this year. I'll tell you, it's amazing that we're here already, and so thankful to be doing TigerNet Talk, episode number 191. I can't believe we're going to hit 200 episodes of TigerNet Talk before the year is done. We've got a great week lined up over on Clemson Sports Talk for you. We're really hoping to get Tim Brando, Danny Ford, David Treadwell, the judge, Jeff Davis. Obviously, TigerNet's David Hood will join us, and we're going to continue to try and really build our listening audience over there. So if you live outside of the Columbia area, no frets. Don't worry. Just get the iHeartRadio application. You can listen to the show there. It's also streamed online from 6 to 8 p.m. Thank you to everybody hanging out with us here in the chat room. The good thing about this show is we can give away some of our Clemson Sports Talk gear, and we will. Now, we've changed the format. You may remember TigerNet Talk used to be a straight flow of a show through the audio version. Well, due to our new show, if you're not aware, this show is going to change just a little bit. It's now going to be broken up into some segments. A 13-minute segment, a 24-minute segment, and a 15-minute and 50-second segment. That's a grand total of 52 minutes and 50 seconds, which can be then put out on air to radio stations across the state of South Carolina. Now, this will no longer, it used to be called the Clemson Hotline. However, our phone lines is now going to be called the Clemson Hotline, and the phone lines are open 803-450-0086. Almost gave out the phone number to the studio. 803-450-0086. If you want to give us your prediction, your thoughts on the upcoming season for your Clemson Tigers heading up against the Georgia Bulldogs, we would be more than willing to engage your conversation. On Twitter, we had a bunch of Tiger fans reach out to us, and I'm just looking at S.O. Joe's tweet. He's at Clems_son. And just looking at his tweet, it's fantastic. Hashtag CST560 is the way you can get in. Scott checks in. He says, guys, I can't figure out how to listen to the show on my Droid. And I don't know if there is an app, Scott, for your Droid. I tried to tweet to you that you can also watch the show over on Spreecast.com. I see Keith over in the chat room. He says, thank goodness that there's an app to be able to listen to Clemson Sports Talk throughout the week. He says, because I live nowhere near that city. Laugh out loud. Yeah, I know. Keith, it is what it is, my man. And if you live here, you got to kind of deal with it a little bit more than those of you who don't live in and around the Columbia area. But we're just happy to now have an opportunity to have a show for Clemson people by a Clemson person here in Columbia, and I hope that you'll continue to spread the word. I say tell your friends, tell your neighbors, and tell your friends' neighbors. The support has been tremendous, and we've had our ups and downs. We've had our bumps in the road with a couple of Gamecocks on the program, but I'll go ahead and vow to you this. I will stand toe-to-toe with any Gamecock. If they're making a logical conversation, a logical argument, I'm fine with that. But the minute they start swinging about some great history is the minute that L. Swan reports for duty to squash all of that. And believe me, we've done our fair share of that in just over a month here in Columbia. But it's here, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, finally. You've been waiting for this moment, and I warned you about 2 weeks ago. I told you to be here before you know it. Make sure you got your tailgate supplies together. Did you get your gear set up? Have you dialed in the satellite? Because nothing can let down your perfectly planned tailgate, which could be an 8-hour tailgate, maybe a 10-hour tailgate, depending on what kind of time you're planning on arriving, and I would go ahead and tell you to arrive early over in Clemson because it is going to be crazy for this game. I think you could easily argue the biggest home opener in in Clemson's history, and I don't think that there's a question. See you, Tiger Craig. He says he'll be there at 8 a.m. rocking and rolling the 12-hour tailgate special. I guess it's 11. You also got to leave yourself some time to get in and get to your seats. And most people know where their seats are, but that's something to always keep in mind. You want to think and be proactive and make sure that you've kind of gotten things put together. But I'll tell you what, if you want to let down your tailgate party, have that 55 inches of goodness sitting in the back of the van or the back of the truck or whatever and not be able to get it on. You talk about letdown city. You talk about your friends saying, really, this is the biggest game in the history of Clemson football, and you forgot the power cord to the TV. You forgot the power cord to the direct TV box. No coaxial cables. Get out in the yard this week. Your wife will think you're crazy. Your neighbors will think you're moving, which for some of you may be a good thing. They may be pretty excited about that fact if they believe that you're moving. But you've got to get out there and get the stuff set up. And I know some of you are telling me, will you hush? We want you to talk sports. But, guys, listen, this could be epic failure on your part. And there will be one of you, hopefully not one of my listeners, who is out there, who at some point on Saturday will hopefully realize that you didn't forget the cord that one of your friends who maybe is a little, let's see, what's the fair word here? Maybe he's maybe a little less electronically inclined. Maybe he's been spending a little much time around the cooler at the tailgate, if you know what I mean. He's going to say you don't have the power cord. And if you didn't pack it, brother, then it's not on him anymore. It's on you. So listen, big game, under the lights, game day scenario, Clemson, Georgia. You can't beat it. But last season, that LSU game, is there any carryover? Can you have it? Can you expect it? I don't know that you can. But the good news is Coach Ford in the Ring of Honor. We'll send it out to this old tune about Coach Ford. Stay with us. More TigerNet Talk right after these messages.
Oh, listen up. We won't give up. We'll soon be number one. We'll be grinning from ear to ear when the football season's done.
Now, if you're familiar with the program, you'll know this will be the typical segment where there's not a commercial. It's just me switching the clock up to fast forward so you don't have to feel like, my gosh, this guy just had a commercial. Then what I do, to give you a background view, I set the clock to 15:55 after the hour, and then we get rolling. And we do a 24-minute segment. All right, so here we go.
This is Coach Dabo Sweeney of the Clemson Tigers, and you're listening to the Clemson Hotline on the John C. Calhoun Radio Network.
Well, that's close. That's close, Coach Sweeney. You were talking on the Clemson Hotline. This, of course, is TigerNet Talk on the John C. Calhoun Radio Network. I'm your host, Lawton Swan. Thank you so much for being here. Follow us on Twitter. We're at Clemson Sports. That's Clemson News, notes, information, and more 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we appreciate Coach Dabo Sweeney for that quick one-liner. Really tried to work with him a little bit this summer to get together to do some new stuff for the new show here in Columbia on Sports Radio 560. The team didn't have a chance. They were pretty much booked up, but we'll get to that down the road, and really looking forward to just being at Death Valley, the ambiance around this game. It's just amazing. The opportunity here for Clemson, I think, is the big key. And I don't know that we realize that each and every ball game when you go in and you're playing maybe the Dukes of the world or the Marylands of the world. But when you go into this ball game, game one, on a national stage, you're a top 10 ranked team yourself. You're going up against the Georgia Bulldogs. You sit here in the offseason and you look at this team, and there are questions in the secondary. There are questions at the running back position. I think there are some people out there who still wonder about these linebackers, how they're going to play. Now you've got some tight end questions. The good news about your game against Georgia Tiger fans is this. Unlike a team that's maybe playing a Furman or a Wofford in week number one, and that's not to punch those teams in the mouth by any means. I don't mean any disrespect there. But coming out of this game, coming out of this game, no later than arguably midnight Saturday, and unless there's overtime, I don't think you'll get to midnight, but you never know in this day and age with college football and overtime. But if you assume that the game were to be tied, maybe you go into Sunday morning with the ball game. But sometime around there, you're going to know about your team, Tigers. You're going to know exactly what you've got. And some people say, well, maybe that's not true, Swanee. Maybe Georgia's not what everybody expects. And Georgia certainly is not coming in without questions themselves. Plus, they have, if you look at the injury report comparing Clemson to Georgia, I really feel like it pales in comparison. And partly some of that, I think, comes down to just these two teams trying to prepare for each other in such a way that's been so harsh on these players. And, Coach Danny Ford, who'll be inducted into the Ring of Honor, and rightfully so. It's something we said for years has been a problem. It's something that we're happy is going to be fixed. Coach Danny Ford, who we hope to have on Clemson Sports Talk this week, because apparently you've seen he's got an iPhone and he's got a Twitter account. You should have known he had an iPhone, though, from the conversation when we had him on Clemson Sports Talk not that long ago when he told me, and I wish I had the clip, I would play it for you, something to the effects of, oh, I'm sorry I hung up on you there. I hit that red button and I meant to hit that green one. I don't think that's my best Danny Ford, but I can tell you, when he said that, I was rolling. Not to mention, he couldn't get his Bluetooth in his car to cut off. It's a great, great show. And all of those shows, just like all of these shows, TigerNet Talk and Clemson Sports Talk, are archived over on iTunes. So get your smartphone, get on your computer, find those episodes, and enjoy the program anytime you want to. Take them with you on the go and listen to my beautiful voice at 2 times the speed. All right, the chat room is up. Guys, listen, if you're in the chat room and you've never been there before, here's some cool stuff about it. I see Cody, Keith, Daryl, see you, Tiger Craig, Chris Carey. Right below where you're putting in your chats, there should be something called the screen queue or something to that regard. If you have a question or a thought or a comment, and maybe you don't have a Twitter account, you don't want to tweet the hashtag CST560, punch it in there. 803-450-0086 is the Clemson hotline number. Give the Clemson hotline a call. We'll be more than willing to talk to you about the Georgia Bulldogs. What do you expect coming into this game? I think my biggest fear, and it's kind of crept this way over the past several days, is the running back position for Clemson. I know you're scratching your head. You're saying, hey, Swanee, listen, we're in a good situation. I feel comfortable with Roderick McDowell. I think Zach Brooks is going to be a great one. But my problem is when you go into this game at this point in the season, and I know it's early, but C.J. Davidson and the coaches pumping him up, and I've talked about this on Friday's show. I'm still just so worried because you're a play away from Zach Brooks having to tote the load for you virtually the entire game against the Georgia Bulldogs. I'm not comfortable with C.J. Davidson. I'm comfortable with C.J. Spiller, not C.J. Davidson. And that's, for me as a Clemson fan going into this ball game, is a huge concern. Because I know we like to spread the football around. I know we like to run that hurry up, no huddle, get the running backs into great lanes, great opportunities, maybe not so much the in between the tackle style running that is done over in the SEC, the power style game, which I know for a fact this coaching staff has really worked on. It's part of the reason that they went to the pistol formation last year was to improve the rushing numbers, and those are hopefully going to happen anyway. But I sit here a few days before the ball game. I sit here on a Sunday night, less than 1 week away from the biggest matchup in Clemson history. And I know one team comes in with arguably the most talented pair of running backs in America, and definitely the most talented pair of sophomore running backs in America. And the other team, the one that I want to win, really lacks in that situation right now, or in that position right now. And that has to be a major concern for you going forward. Our good friend Sammy, not Watkins, O'Neill, does our PS3 predictions here on the program each and every week. We have his predictions for you for a little bit later in the program. We've also got your predictions coming up. And if you want to tell us your thoughts on the situation at running back, how good do you feel right now? I felt a lot better when DJ Howard's name was in the mix. I felt a lot better when Tyshawn Dye's name was in the mix. You guys know I've been a Wayne Gallman red shirt all along. I really thought Even when the coaches were talking about Wayne, even when they were calling him a violent runner, and I was thinking, man, that sounds good. I feel like Wayne Gallman needs to be the red shirt of the two freshman running backs. But now here we sit, and people are saying, oh, well, and you got these guys, whether you want to call them sunshine pumpers, whether you want to call the people like me a dumper, it doesn't matter. When I look at this position going into this game and the realization that this coaching staff is seriously trying not to force Taj Boyd to be the guy that runs the football on key, 3rd and 2, on 2nd and 6, plays like that where I think this coaching staff would really like to see the only time Taj Boyd carries the football is when Taj Boyd is maybe rolling out and realizes that, hey, he's got plenty of open space, plenty of opportunity. You don't want Taj taking any hits right now. I know that there are some of you out there that are comfortable too with Cole Stout. And I wouldn't say that I'm extremely uncomfortable with Cole. But I thought coming in to spring camp that Chad Kelly was going to be the number 2 guy. So in my opinion right now, your second team quarterback is arguably what I think physically from the control of the offense, what he would have brought to the equation is probably the 3rd best guy on your roster. And I think the 3rd running back on your team right now is probably 5th or 6th. Okay, and that's concerning to me when you're going up against a Georgia Bulldog team that is going to be highly motivated. I mean, they're a team that's come up this short, just a hair short, multiple times in Mark Richt's career. And while we could say, well, we're not looking past them towards the SC State Bulldogs, and you can hope that they're looking past you to the South Carolina Gamecocks, I can guarantee you this. They will not be. Because, my friends, the Georgia Bulldogs understand what rides on this game. And it's a whole lot of season on the line for both ball clubs. And for them, this game is going to be as important as it is for you, Tiger fans. Stay with us. TigerNet Talk rolls along right after these messages.
Tired of waiting hours to fill a prescription? Have problems getting to the pharmacy and don't trust a faceless mail-order service? The good folks at Chapin Pharmacy have been serving the Chapin area for 17 years quickly and with a smile. They also offer free delivery to Chapin and the surrounding areas. Request refills 24 hours a day on the phone, online at chapinrx.com, or with the RX2Go app. In Chapin at 138 Amex Ferry Road or 345-1114. Discover what a pharmacy should be. Chapin Pharmacy.
Now, Clemson Tiger fans have a show of their own.
The thing that you like if you're a Clemson fan is that as good as this offense is, there are a lot of teams that you can just flat out go out on the field and outscore.
It's Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan. Weeknights 6 to 8 on 560 The Team.
Since 1968, Carolina Forklift opened in Columbia, South Carolina. 45 years and one name change later, CMH Services still delivers top quality equipment and industrial storage systems. For new and used forklifts, rentals, or on-site repair of existing forklifts, call CMH Services at 1-800-922-6709. With branches in Columbia, Greenville, and Charleston, CMH Services is South Carolina's home for material handling equipment. Visit them online at cmhservices.net.
There's something about looking and feeling classy that everyone enjoys. Check out Edisto Outdoors, an apparel brand inspired by our southern animals and environment. These shirts feature soft-touch prints that will keep you looking your best in all types of weather. Look for Edisto Outdoors, coming soon to many fine retailers across the state, or visit www.edistooutdoors.com. Technical, comfortable, livable.
Can't do it.
Do you say that about your dentist? Let me tell you about G-Dog. That's General Dentistry at Oak Grove. They're located on Highway 1 between I-20 and I-26. I recently had a crown done, and it was a piece of cake. With TVs and headphones in every room and digital x-rays done in a flash, you can relax while their wonderful staff takes care of your needs. 803-957-2297. Tell them you heard about them right here on Clemson Sports Talk and receive $50 off your first visit. That's General Dentistry at Oak Grove.
We turned up, we run down the hill, we so turned up. Rock the rock, hit the field, no competition, we first up. Offense is too fast, defense ain't scared, boy. Line up against me, we drop you on your head, boy. Death Valley be jumping, whole stadium pumping. Best fans in the whole nation, and damn right we love them. CLEMSON, we Clemson, we ballin', we all in.
Welcome back, Tiger fans, to TigerNet Talk, episode number 191. And the Clemson hotline is open if you'd like to give us a call, 803-450-0086. By the way, we did have a listener this summer. This was great. And I don't remember his name. I'm not calling him out. But he called me and left me a message and said that I kept throwing out this phone number, and if I didn't want to hear from people, then why wasn't I answering? Well, remember, if you're not watching the show, if you're not watching us live on Sunday nights at 9 p.m. from about 9 to 10 o'clock at night, I'm not sitting at the computer answering the phone during the week when you're listening to the program on your time. Some people watch the YouTube version. Some people will listen to the podcast edition. But feel free. The voicemail will pick up, and it'll say something to the degree of, welcome to the home of your favorite sports talk show. Feel free to leave your message there. We can always pipe it into the program. There's also, if you're on ClemsonSportsTalk.com, and thank you so much, speaking of websites, to TigerNet.com for always putting my Clemson Sports Talk show up on the front page there each and every week, just the banner to remind people. And I saw people in the chat room or in the chat area on TigerNet talking about the show and just how much they were enjoying it. That means the world to me. I saw today when I asked people to send in some predictions, Mac Daddy said, keep up the good work. Thank you, Mac Daddy. So if you want to call the Clemson hotline, 803-450-0086. That's the Clemson hotline here on TigerNet Talk. Now, for me, to keep all that straight has been tough. It's been tough with the changeover, but it's something we had to do in order to keep the shows going. There was no way we could do TigerNet Talk, Clemson Hotline, and Clemson Sports Talk. I don't have enough time in the week to do all those shows. I would have had to have a show every day plus attending Clemson games. Mike Bentley, he's at Bent0 on Twitter. He's a great Twitter guy. Make sure you follow him. He says, weird, I don't see the live chat. Not sure what's going on with that. Mike, if you're at the top of the screen on Spreecast, over to the right-hand side when you're looking at it, I believe for you guys too, are a couple of tabs like info, live chat, share, and something else. Try to click there. Maybe you still don't see it, but I at least want to throw that option out there to you. Keith says, I am so wishing for Ron Cherry to be at Carolina this week. And that's, of course, at the South Carolina-North Carolina game, which I think we can all just call the Carolina game. And Dabo's Carolina, as Steve Spurrier will so eloquently remind you from time to time. That would be nice to see the Gamecocks get a little bit of that Ron Cherry and his – Ron Cherry must be from Charleston. Those 5-yard penalties that he likes to give out. Ron Cherry, he's great. When he gave the business, when he did the giving them the business, love some Ron Cherry in the context of the humor that he provides when he's not reffing my games. In the concern that I have when he is reffing our games, don't like Ron Cherry. But I like his first down signal. Some of you who are watching the show on Spreecast right now or watching the YouTube version, you'll recognize this first down. It's kind of got a little bounce to it at the end. I don't know. Great stuff. Chris checks in. He says, everything is ready but the satellite testing. That's tomorrow. It better be tomorrow, Chris, because doggone it, if you send me a text message or a tweet to come by your tailgate and I roll over there and you can't dial in satellite 101, this relationship is over. And finally, Mike says he had to use Internet Explorer, Swanee. Yeah, that might be it. I've told you, I've had some trouble with that. I'm assuming you're using Chrome. Obviously, Firefox might be your other choice. I don't think is Netscape even still out there. That was a old school reference there, Netscape. But, yeah, we threw it out there to you. Feel free to give us a call on the Clemson hotline, 803-450-0086 to check in and give us your predictions. And Chris, over in the chat room, he's at CU Tailgater and laid out his prediction for this weekend's Clemson-Georgia game.
Yeah, Swan, it's a CU Tailgater. Hey, I just want to leave my prediction. I want to say 41-31 Clemson. I don't know if we score that many points, but I hope we do, and I hope we come away with a victory. If not, might be a low-scoring game like it was last year against Auburn. But, hey, 41-31 Tigers.
And I'll tell you what, 41-31, it's amazing when you look at these two teams and the numbers that they could potentially put up offensively. I haven't checked. I'm not a big, Vegas kind of betting, gambling, whatever you want to call it kind of guy. I just don't get into that. I'm too busy doing other things, spending time with my family and working mostly. But I don't know what the over-under is on this game. But, 72 points, that's an awful lot of points. And for these two teams to come in clicking. I think, to get to that number, Chris, you're going to have to be clicking from the get-go. That's of the utmost importance. And so we told you we're going to throw out there over the weekends, typically following Clemson's game, and obviously after the Georgia game, you'll have a chance to call in here to TigerNet Talk via the Clemson hotline and reflect on the game if you would like to. Leave a message if you want to, or call us live, 803-450-0086. All that information is right there below me on the screen. But we'll also put it out on Twitter and on TigerNet for your predictions. So we'll get to a couple of those right now. We've got, let's see, at T Watson 06. This is not a prediction, but she just wants us to know that Danny Ford is Clemson. And you're right, so excited about Coach Ford. I mentioned that earlier. That's going to make this an even more spectacular game, in my opinion. For Danny Ford to be recognized in this regard, Danny Ford is a selfless man. When we had him on the program on Clemson Sports Talk, probably a month back now, and we talked with him about being inducted, it's not about the team. I mean, it's not about him. It's about the team. It's about the players. It's about the coaches that were around him to help him. It's never been about Danny Ford. And I think that's even the bigger reason that his name needed to be recognized in Death Valley. And maybe it's like Coach Speak, and maybe he doesn't really feel that way deep down. But I think for most Clemson people, Danny Ford is Clemson football. And that's the essence of where we are as far as our history. At this point, when I put together the Mount Rushmore and I left off Frank Howard, some people said, how can you leave off Frank Howard? At this point where we sit today, Danny Ford is the coach at Clemson University. He is the best coach in our history. He took us to the place that we'd never been. And I think if Frank Howard were alive today to tell you who he would have on that mountain, it would be Danny Ford. And if you told Frank Howard his name was on there, he'd probably tell you, all shucks, it shouldn't be. And that's part of, I think, what makes both of these guys great. But while Danny Ford's still here, I told you back when we did a show. We did TigerNet Talk a few episodes ago, and I don't know why we did it. I don't remember what the conversation was. It was like literally 2 days before they put Danny Ford in the Ring of Honor. And we told you that was a travesty, that had to be fixed. Not tomorrow, not in 2 weeks, but today. Because if that wasn't done and something happens to Danny Ford and we didn't honor him while he's alive, that is a terrible disservice. Oh, yeah, it was when they put the bust out, when they had the bust that they were going to put in the West Zone. And I went off that I thought that wasn't enough. And that's still where I sit with that. I'm so thankful that, hopefully I'll make it to Saturday. Hopefully you'll make it to Saturday, and we'll get to see Danny Ford inducted into the Ring of Honor. At B. Sheely 13, that's Bartlett Sheely. He says 34-24 Clemson with a hashtag Go Tigers. Andy checks in. He says he's at Clemson AL 86. Clemson in a close one, 41-38. Hashtag Beat Georgia. Greg checks in. Greg says Tigers 32, Georgia 24. I'm telling you what, there's going to be some scoring going on in Death Valley. I'm not that comfortable with the numbers getting up this high. I do like the fact, though, that everybody so far has had Clemson on the correct end of things. Jeff, he's at Bacon Browder, Browder. Clemson 45, Georgia 31. At CU Trail says the Tigers win it 34-27. So that's just a couple of the predictions that we've gotten in thus far. 803-450-0086. We'd love to hear from one of you via the Clemson hotline here on TigerNet Talk this evening to find out what you think about the upcoming ball game. We'll get to some of the other predictions as well coming up a little bit later in the show. But, man, this is going to be a good one. If we get to those type scores, I mean, if you're talking 31-24, you're talking 41-31, I'm going to be a nervous wreck the entire ball game. I mean, because Georgia has the potential, ladies and gentlemen, of very few teams remaining on Clemson's schedule this season. I think you could argue there are two teams on the schedule that can keep pace with your Tigers if they're clicking: the Georgia Bulldogs and the Florida State Seminoles, and that's it. And you're gonna knock at the door. Swanee, what are you talking about? Florida State's got a freshman quarterback. Didn't you see this weekend? Didn't you see that Jameis Winston was named the starting quarterback for Florida State? We don't feel bad about that. We're not concerned about that. We got him in the Valley. I think those are about the two teams. I'll grant you a hashtag third place team, maybe a Georgia Tech. Maybe a Georgia Tech when they're just ripping your team for big runs, when they've got you guessing completely, they can become a team that can score to that degree. Oddly enough, a team that keeps the ball on the ground can put up those types of numbers. But they can, because then all of a sudden their passing game becomes a threat. Vad Lee, if he's successful this season, he could be a scary quarterback for the Clemson Tigers. But again, another team, because of the scheduling, you get them at home. So you feel good about that. But here it is, man, Clemson, Georgia, 1980s style, getting it together. And some of the greats, some of the legends of all time to play at Clemson and at Georgia, going head-to-head. And it's hard to believe 2003, the Georgia Bulldogs rolled into Death Valley. Don't forget this. Rolled into Death Valley and beat Clemson 30-0. The irony of that loss for me is, if you have forgotten, that same season was a year where Tommy Bowden was on the way out. He was done. His goose was cooked, and he saved it. Down the second half, he beat Florida State, the number 3 ranked team in America. He also beat the South Carolina Gamecocks 63-17, and then beat Tennessee in the bowl game that same year. The same year the Bulldogs came into the Valley and put a little old-fashioned Georgia whooping on your Tigers. 803-450-0086. Jesse Rice, it's a great day to be a Clemson Tiger, taking us to break. Stay with us. Again, no, you are not experiencing any technical difficulties. What this is the segment where we move the clock up to 41 minutes and 55 seconds. And this is where we shall begin the next segment of the show. So thank you for being here.
Grow up and I'd settle down. There was 10,000 girls up in Tiger Town, and it was heaven to me. I used to sneak downtown with my fake ID and watch Doug McCormick rock TDs on a Friday night.
And I know that's the great thing, too, about this game being against the Georgia Bulldogs. So many of you haven't been to Clemson. You're ready to get back. You haven't been in a while, I should say. I know you've been there. You haven't been in there in a while, and now you're going to get to go back. You heard there talking about TDs and Tiger Town and all those great establishments in and around downtown Clemson for you to go and hang out in. And Cody Webb, of course, who sings turning 4 years into 5, or in my case, as I like to say, basically I turned 4 years into 7, and that's the truth, ladies and gentlemen. 4 years into 7. Or 14 semesters, however you want to look at, however you want to look at it. 803-450-0086. Come on, I know you guys are sitting there. I know you guys are sitting there and you want to give us a call on the Clemson hotline here on TigerNet Talk. We'd love to have it. Mike says, Swanee, if we win the Mythical National Championship, are you going to get a Clemson tattoo? Yeah, I'm all in. I'm all in. It's a thing that a few seasons ago, 2000 and let's see, this is 13. God, these years start to run together. 2011 was the year when we kind of started this little pact, my family. I don't think my dad's in on it. My dad's 78. I think he's probably past his tattooing prime, but most of my family members have pretty much, and we have a long-standing tradition at Clemson. As far back as my great grandfather, who graduated Clemson in 1912. So you're talking almost 101 years now my family's been at Clemson. But yeah, we kind of put that pack together back in 2011 when things were going well for Clemson. And we just said, hey, you know what? What we're going to try and do is if the Tigers go undefeated, they ventured into Bobby Dodd Stadium at 8-0. If they go undefeated this year, win the national title, we're all in. We're all in for a Tiger tattoo. And I don't have a tattoo. I hope to have one, though, before my days here on this earth are done. And I hope it's because of our Clemson Tigers. And, they'll get a chance this season. You beat the Georgia Bulldogs. I think this is an interesting topic for conversation. And feel free. I mean, if you're listening to the show, podcast editions, that's fine. But, if you beat Georgia in week 1, how far do you jump? And how far is Georgia penalized for losing to Clemson? Because I think there's some intriguing circumstances that surround the ACC and the SEC when it comes to this fact. And that is that I really think that if you, as the Clemson Tigers, lose to Georgia, you're going to drop a great deal further in the polls than Georgia's ever going to drop. And when you get into that nature of, is the SEC a product of the polls? Or are they a product of all their years of success? It's something that I think we at least have to think about in this scenario as Clemson fans. Because if you win, how far do you jump? I mean, if you win, you could, in my mind, almost replace Georgia at number 5. And depending on some of the other games, maybe you are even higher at that point. Do you jump South Carolina? And what could that mean? And I told Gamecock fans and Tiger fans last week to put their head on their pillows for just a second and dream. Dream of Clemson beating Georgia. They drop. South Carolina also defeats Georgia. Both teams run the table. Could you get to a scenario where these two teams are ranked so high at the end of the year that they in turn lose a close game, and it's probably going to have to be South Carolina that loses that close game, then goes in and knocks off a number 1 ranked Alabama? We are at the point. This is how good these two teams have gotten in this state. And some of you say don't recognize the Gamecocks. But this is how good these two teams are right now. They are at a level in the rankings, in the preseason rankings, and at a level versus most of the competition they will face this year, that if the ball were to go the right way for them, in every scenario possible to work out, these two teams could face one another in the last weekend of the season and then in the national championship, a la Florida State and Florida. And that should tell you just how much you need to know about where these two teams, Clemson and South Carolina, and this rivalry could go. I mean, it's an unbelievable thing that's going on. Sorry I left Mike's question up so long. Mike, you got a lot of love there on the show. Who's going to the game day set? I don't get into that. I'm not all that interested. I know some of you are. I think it's great exposure for Clemson. I haven't heard. I haven't been following it close enough, and you're going to say, how do you not know? If they've decided where they're putting it, or they're putting it back at Bowman Field. Somebody in the chat room, if you can confirm that it is going to be back at Bowman Field. I told you my thoughts on that a few weeks ago. I would rather accentuate the football stadium. I want America to see what Clemson football is all about from that perspective. I don't need to see Tillman Hall and some of the great spots on campus. I want to show Death Valley. I want to show the West Zone. Those are the things that I want to see. Rick checks in. Says South Carolina doesn't get by Florida, and they might lose to Tennessee. Well, you might be right. They have a tough schedule. By the way, thank you to Rick, Jared, Keith, Craig, Doug, Tiger Clay, David, Michael, a bunch of guests, Daryl, Mike Bentley, Chris. See you, Tiger Craig. I think I said you already, Craig. If I missed you all, I'm sorry. Got a great group of people hanging out with us this evening as we're talking about your Clemson Tigers. And not one of you have dared to enter the Clemson hotline here on TigerNet Talk. 803-450-0086. Don't be scared. Give us a call. Step up. You expect the Tigers to step up this coming Saturday. I'm issuing the challenge to one of our listeners right now to call us during the break. We want to hear your prediction and thoughts on the Georgia game. And when we get back, some final predictions from Twitter and also Sammy's Not Sammy Watkins, Sammy O'Neill's PS3 prediction for you right here on TigerNet Talk. Stay with us.
It's hard to climb, but we've been up on top before, and we'll be there one more time.
Blake Austin of South Carolina Farm Bureau is an insurance agent you can count on to meet all your needs. Home, auto, health, life, you name it, Blake's got you covered, and he can save you on your yearly rates. Call him now for a free quote, 803-259-5008. That's 803-259-5008. Or just go to ClemsonSportsTalk.com and click on the Farm Bureau logo to be connected to Blake. Do like I do and work with the best agent around, and you can tweet that. Enjoy the Clemson football season at Seasons by the Lake Restaurant. Tiger Tailgate on the Terrace at Seasons Restaurant will be held every Clemson football game day, rain or shine, home or away, from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. for those day games and noon to midnight for the evening kickoffs. Enjoy a large screen TV, a Bloody Mary and mimosa bar, specialty drinks, and a great tailgate menu, all on the Seasons Terrace. For more information, call 656-7444 or visit their Facebook page, facebook.com/Seasons by the Lake. I hope to see you on the terrace.
Want to hear the sound of hassle-free traveling? Amtrak takes the hassle out of traveling to over 500 destinations. You can stretch out in a spacious seat, relax in a sleeping car, and enjoy a hot meal in the dining car. And for those who want to kick back and take in the scenery, go right ahead. For everything you get on Amtrak, the one thing you won't get is this. So whether you're going to a family reunion or an away game, make it a whole lot nicer on Amtrak. Book your trip today at Amtrak.com or call 1-800-USA-RAIL.
All aboard! On Saturday morning, I don't sleep late. I eat an early breakfast and I head out for the game. I gotta get there early to watch the Tigers play. The dogs are in town, we'll blow them away. I've got my orange t-shirt, got my orange hat, even orange underwear. Now what you think of that? I'm an orange fan.
That is some old school stuff there. I remember it from when I was a kid. Oh, driving up to Clemson, what a great memory. What a great memory. And just one of those songs, you had the old cassette tapes and you pop that in there. Ode to the Paws and Claws, Tiger Fever. Tiger Fever, what a great, great song and album that was. And out to the phone lines we go. It's the Clemson hotline here on TigerNet Talk. Caller, thank you for calling in. Appreciate it, and want to hear your prediction on the Clemson-Georgia game. You there?
I'm here.
Hey, go ahead. You're up.
Well, I think it's going to probably be a little bit lower than people are talking about. I think it's going to be in the 30s and 20s. I was in school in 79 to 83, and the Ford and Dooley racing was fantastic. But I do think that we've got a much better group of skilled athletes and, most importantly, front lines on both the offensive and defensive side.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that, the skill position players in this game are tremendous. I think you could probably argue, I think it would be an easy argument to make that when you combine Clemson and Georgia and all the skill position players, and they lack a little bit, in my opinion, at the wide receiver position, but America seems to think they're the best thing since sliced bread. But I think you've got just some unbelievable talent. What's your name, calling? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Charleston. My name's Sam.
All right, Sam, man, I appreciate your your call this evening to the Clemson hotline here on TigerNet Talk. And what did you say your final prediction was? Did you actually give a number?
I didn't give a number, but if I did, it'd be 31 to 21 Clemson.
31-21 Clemson. Sam, all right, man. I appreciate your call, and thank you so much for listening to the show.
All right, buddy.
Awesome, awesome.
Good job.
Took the challenge from the chat room, and Sam called in to the Clemson hotline. Sam, you are the technically inaugural live Clemson hotline caller on TigerNet Talk. Chris, he gets to have the all-time first caller to the Clemson hotline on TigerNet Talk. Chris also wants to know that I'll order the new banner. Man, this new banner is going to be super sweet. Yeah, we're putting that in the works tomorrow, so hopefully we'll have it up. 8-foot, I believe, by 3-foot banner we're going to have up for all you Tiger fans. So make sure if you see us, stop by, speak to us, let me know about it. We've got people listening to us all across the state, which is humbling and amazing all at once. Daryl in the chat room says Clemson 38, Georgia 34. Home field will get us over the top. Go Tigers. Mike makes an interesting question. I'm going to just throw it out there for you guys to stew over because I don't have the time here on this program to do it. But if Clemson beats Georgia by 10 and South Carolina beats Georgia by 3, would we jump them? I think if we beat Georgia, we might already jump them, but it's interesting to know when you look at the entire body of work. And by the way, I've got to have some extra Clemson Sports Talk shirts at the game this weekend. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to give away 2 shirts right now here on the program. Here's how you can win, okay? I have large and medium. If you need a small or an extra large, I am all out. I'm hoping to get some more shirts, though, in the very near future. All right, but here's what I want to know from you. All right, Clemson and Georgia, major rivals, major rivals. But in games played in Memorial Stadium, what is the record that Georgia holds? This is in games played in Memorial Stadium, only Memorial Stadium. What is the record that Georgia holds? Georgia does have the lead. If you didn't know, Georgia holds the series lead 41-17-4. But what is the record that Georgia leads in at Memorial Stadium? And we'll give that away. Just email us, Clemson81@gmail.com. That's Clemson81@gmail.com. We're going to go back out to the phone lines, though, real quick here. The Clemson hotline is open. Welcome in, caller.
I'm just trying to answer the question. I think, are you going, how far back are you going?
Just in the years they've played in Memorial Stadium.
I was just thinking the Danny Ford years, and I thought that would be like 1 and 4, but I know that's not right.
Well, here's what I want you to do. Here's what I want you to do. Just go ahead and get on your email, find the information. I want to know Georgia's record versus the Tigers in games played in Memorial Stadium. You can still win through the email.
All right, appreciate it.
Thank you for calling. Yes, sir. Thank you for calling. Awesome. I love it when we get phone calls here on the show. So, yeah, everybody's involved, podcast people, everybody. I'm going to give 2 shirts away to the first 2 people to get that question right. What is the record that Georgia has in games played against Clemson in Memorial Stadium? A little bit of difficulty, but we cannot give away shirts for free. We got to put a little work in. Final predictions and then the PS3 prediction. S.O. Joe. He says Clemson pulls it out late. This is the one I laughed about earlier. 63-17. Cade Whitman, loyal listener to Clemson Sports Talk, says 31-28 Tigers. Dabo Timms 3 on Twitter says 45-33 Clemson. TBH Jr. 13 says Clemson 48, Georgia 17. And this is the part of the show where I used to, in the old days of the program, give you my prediction. But unfortunately, I do not have one yet because we're going to save that for later on this week on Clemson Sports Talk on Sports Radio 560 of the team. But my main man, Sammy, not Watkins, but O'Neill, emails us. The Clemson-Georgia matchup from the PS3 was a fantastic one, a back-and-forth affair. The Bulldogs totaled 625 yards. The Tigers with 559 yards. Taj Boyd goes 27 of 32, 3 touchdowns, but takes 5 sacks on the day. Aaron Murray throws for 5 touchdowns. Todd Gurley, 19 carries, though, 58 yards. He was shut down by your Clemson Tigers, and the Tigers win it. It was a close one, 49-47. Clemson, via the PS3, and my main man, Sammy O'Neill, delivers a Tiger victory in Game 1 of the season. That's all the time we've got for this week's episode of TigerNet Talk. Join us next weekend, Sunday night, 9 p.m., right here on the front page of TigerNet and also on ClemsonSportsTalk.com. And as always, Tiger fans, y'all take care now, and go Tigers!